Hello everyone, and welcome to lesson 6.7, linear equations in standard form. In this lesson, we're going to talk about our third and final equation of a line, which is standard form, and we're also going to talk about how to change standard form and point slope form into slope-intercept form. I know that's a little confusing to say it that way, but basically we can simplify standard form and we can simplify point slope form. So, taking a look at what standard form looks like ax plus by equals c. The first thing that we need to understand is that a, b, and c all represent numbers. Now, I'm going to write that out. A, b, and c all are, and we're putting caps, numbers. And more importantly, not only are they all numbers, they are all whole numbers. So you'll get an equation that looks like 2x plus 3y equals 10, negative 5x plus 6y equals 100, things like that. But as long as we can understand that a, b, and c at the end of the day will be numbers for us, we can understand this format. The other important thing to take a look at is that x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. Now this is different because before we've always had y equals whatever in either format, but in standard form, both x and y are on the same side of the equal sign. So if we can remember that and get that down, then we can start building equations using standard form or taking standard form equations and transforming it into something else. Now, that is actually what we're going to focus on, that second piece. We're going to focus on changing standard form into slope-intercept form. We can change standard form by doing two things. The first thing is adding and subtracting the x term. Now, when we say x term, I'm talking about whichever term has the x in it. Right? Then our last step is to just solve for y by multiplying or dividing. All right? So let's just take a look at our example and follow these steps. So our first step says that we are going to subtract or add the x term. Well, I look in my problem. I have positive 2x. The opposite of positive 2x is negative 2x. I do that to both sides. The 2x's cancel. That leaves me with 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 12. And it really helps us to get into a habit here to write that equation the way that I have it written on the screen. A lot of times people will just put the 2x on the very end, but that's not our format. That's not how we do things. Get in a habit of just writing the x term before the number. Whether it's positive or negative doesn't matter, but just get in a habit of writing it the correct way. All right, so I'm going to rewrite this just so we can see the rest of the problem here, 2x plus 12. So we've done step one. We've added or subtracted the x term. Now what we got to do is we got to come back and take care of step two. And that means multiplying or dividing by the coefficient in front of y. So to get y by itself, I'm dividing by 3. It's important that we divide every single thing by 3, even if that means we get a fraction. So 3 divided by 3 cancels out. That leaves me with y. Negative 2 divided by 3 doesn't go evenly, so that gives me negative 2/3 x. And then 12 divided by 3 works, and that's positive 4. So, dividing everything out, we end up getting our answer. And again, when we divide out, we divide every little thing, and you can see that here, this format is my y equals mx plus b format, which we have seen this unit and this chapter has been slope-intercept form. Okay. All right, moving on. we have 3 examples here that we're going to take a look at, all dealing with our formats and changing things. So, step number 1, or problem number 1, it says change to slope-intercept form x minus 2y equals 9. So, following the steps that we had on the previous page, the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the x from both sides. I'm subtracting because the original x is positive. So x minus x cancels out. That leaves me with negative 2y on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I rewrite as negative x plus 9. My final step here is to divide every single thing by negative 2. On the left-hand side, the negative 2's cancel, leaving me with y by itself. The middle term, we need to remember that even though the number is not written, there's really a 1 there, so we have negative 1 divided by negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive, so that gives me positive 1/2 x. And then 9 divided by negative 2 doesn't work, so we just say 9 divided by negative 2 is negative 9/2. And notice I didn't get too fancy there. I'm not trying to do plus a negative or anything. Whatever the answer comes out to being, that's how I write it in the final problem. So 9 divided by negative 2 is just minus 9/2. All right, on to number 2. It says state the slope. Well, that's fine that they asked me to state the slope, but they gave me the equation in standard form, 4x plus 3y equals 1. The problem is we can't tell what the slope is without transforming the problem, right? So we've got to get y by itself. Again, to do that, we're following the exact same steps. I'm subtracting 4x from both sides. Again, I'm subtracting because in the original term that 4x is positive, so I'm doing the opposite. Subtracting 4x from both sides, 4x is cancel. That leaves me with 3y equals negative 4x plus 1, writing that problem the correct way. And then I'm finishing it off by dividing by 3. And I divide everything by 3. Everything. So, 3's cancel. Y equals negative 4 divided by 3 is just negative 4/3 x, and 1 divided by 3 is positive 1/3. So now I've got that into slope-intercept form, which is helpful because now I can find my slope, and I know that my slope is equal to negative 4/3. Don't know why I drew the box that way, but there you have it. Okay, so you can see in problems 1 and 2 here that the examples are exactly the same. Even though the instructions are telling you or asking you to do different things, your process for solving is still the same. Taking standard form, putting it into slope-intercept form. All right, so now we move on to number 3. And number 3 says, write an equation in standard form with a slope of 3 and that passes through 6, negative 3. So taking a look, important pieces of information. We got a slope right here, and then they give us a point at the end. Well, since they've given us a point and they've given us a slope, we might as well use point slope form, which is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. And all we have to do is just write out our information. Slope of 3 means m equals 3. And then in 6, negative 3, we know that 6 is our x1 and negative 3 is our y1. And then we just plug in the information. Plugging in, we end up with y minus negative 3 equals our slope of 3 times x minus 6. Okay? Now we get to do some simplifying. That's going to end up giving me y plus 3 equals 3 times x minus 6. Now, in previous lessons, this is where we've stopped. But since we are having to change the equation back into standard form, I know I have to get x and y on the same side. That means I have to simplify this problem. The way that I simplify that is by first doing some distributive property here and distributing my 3. That's going to give me y plus 3 is equal to 3 times x, which is 3x, and then 3 times negative 6, which is negative 18. So I'm going to write this equation over here. Y plus 3 equals 3x minus 18. And then to get everything together, all I'm going to do is subtract the 3 off. That way the y is by itself. 3 minus 3 cancels. Y equals 3x minus 21. So now that we're here, we end up with our slope-intercept form. Problem is, I need to get it into standard form. So we've been able to simplify the equation. Got to get it into standard form though. What do I know about standard form? Oh, x and y are on the same side. So to get x and y on the same side, all I have to do is move the 3x over by using opposite operations. Cancels on the right. I end up with negative 3x plus y equals, what that equals is that way, equals negative 21. And now you have that in standard form. So it takes a while, but the process isn't really bad, right? We've solved equations before. We've simplified expressions before. Once we know how to simplify expressions and take care of that, we can move into solving problems. Once we solve and we get y by itself, we can move things around using opposite operations. Okay, guys, hopefully this has helped understanding what standard form is and how it's used. For the most part, we will be using standard form to convert into the other two formats, and we just got to be up on our equation solving game to make sure that our process stays okay. So hopefully this has helped you with solving problems from this section, but as always, if you're struggling or if you have any questions, please reach out to me and let me know.